Like two cats right there, aren't they?
They really are. At the edge of the match. That's Eddie Bannock.
Step right to the leg.
Such a career he's had as a wrestler. Olympic champion. He's trying to get his 150-pounder up into the lead here, though. It's 2-1 in favor of Silva, but Krieger has riding time. We're in the third period. Silva has wrestled a first-rate match.
Well, both men have grabbed a hold of the other man's wrist. They're kind of hanging on to each other. Once you get a hold of the man, you know where he is, and that's when and he's trying to pull free. It's when you sometimes get caught. He just comes back on you.
These matches are important. The Cyclones figure to win this one, and they don't want to let it get away because they're going to get into some tough matches up later with people such as Erickson. There's a warning against Silva.
Well, Krieger really hasn't been effective with his offense. That maybe is an indication of some of that lack of position that I was talking about. He needs to be able to improve his positioning so his offense would be easier for him.
23 seconds to go.
You know, when you bend over and lean out and reach at a guy, puts his feet a long way away from you, so it's hard to affect a takedown. Can't get in deep enough on him.
Very little time left.
We just penalized Silva a point right there.
And that's going to cost him the match.
You got to do more.
2 seconds, and Krieger is going to win it now.
Move in.
So for the second time we've seen him in a row, the other time was against Iowa, a penalty against the opponent at the end.
Made a difference in the final score.
Made a difference. And the riding time gives it to Krieger, 3-2.
I don't think he's real pleased with that match.
No, he can't be. 15-3 now is the score. And Iowa State does have to be pleased with that. Cyclones up by 12 halfway through. Tim Krieger, the winner, 3-2. That's the end of the 150-pound match. And right now, Iowa Public Television would like to present a very special 10th anniversary feature with a wrestler from the past. Let's meet Iowa State's outstanding wrestler, Mike Mann, off the mat.
They play everything. College, you know, it's so much more fun.
If you were watching college wrestling on Iowa Public Television in 1982, you may remember an interview we conducted with Mike Mann, in which we asked him to look ahead to life after college.
Well, as I plan right now, I'd like to go home, return to the family farm, and start a hog operation.
Well, Mike made his dream come true and is raising hogs down on the farm just outside Albion, Iowa. We went to visit with Mike again and asked him this time to reflect back to his days in an Iowa State singlet.
When I got the scholarship to go to Iowa State from high school, at that time, you were so high on wrestling and getting a scholarship and going to college and being a success that you didn't even really think about school. Well, when you got there, you found out, hey, if there's no school, there's no grade, there's no wrestling. Well, that attitude changed, and I think the thing that really surprised me was that, you know, could go ahead and graduate and get a degree. You know, I wasn't a 4-point student or anything, but I wasn't a bad student either. I was an average student, and it was really a joy to go there and say, hey, you know, that day I got my diploma and said I did it. You know, that was a great feeling. As far as athletics and the wrestling, I had several memories. I think my senior year had several things happen. I beat Charlie Gadsden twice, and that was a real thrill to me because he had been there when I come in as a freshman and basically took me and developed me and worked out with me every day and beat me up every day. And you just think, man, I can't beat this guy, you know. And when you finally beat him in competition, I beat him in the Northern Open and the Midwest Championships, you know, that was a real thrill. And along with that, that happened at the same time I got the most valuable wrestler at the first Midwest Championship. And so that's kind of a neat thing to hold on to. The other things would be, I'd have to say beating Ed Bannock. You always kind of wondered what would happen when you wrestled him, because like I was wrestling 90 when Dave Allen was wrestling 77 there when I was a junior, and Ed Bannock was just, you know, we'd have a dual meet with Iowa and they'd just beat us up, and, you know, Ed Bannock could always crush somebody. And so when the day came that you finally got to wrestle him, it was kind of neat, you know, to see what the results would be. And I'm proud of the fact that my record's 3-1 against him. And even though he beat me in the finals, you know, I still beat him bad 3 times. So that was definitely a thrill. And seems like no matter what sport an individual's involved in, that he can always relate it to life. You know, for an example, in wrestling, you got to work out a whole week and then have a meet at the end, you know. And contrasted with farming is you kind of got to work in the spring, then you got to wait another 6 months or 4 months in the fall to get the crop out, you know. So those type of things relate, and, you know, I guess as far as putting things into it, production, you know, like working out all week, you know, when am I going to get the benefit of this? Same way with farming and a job, you know, you work the week and then come the weekend or the end of the year, finally get the payoff. So same type of strategy and same type of philosophies correspond. You can relate athletics with any kind of a job, I think.
Come on, boy. Stand back, Susan. That's boar power. I think some people don't realize, you know, non-farm people, that hogs get big. He probably weighs 700-800 pounds. He's 5 years old.
My family, my wife Susan and daughter Leah, we got married in June 16th, '84, about a year after I was out of college. And shortly after we were married, we had a baby the next spring. She was born this May. It's nice to have a wife and a family and have somebody you can always come home to. I have some goals. They're all pretty much agriculture related, you know, as far as growing and expanding and those type of things. The reason I say it's hard to know what's going to happen is because we haven't figured out what's going on in agriculture right now. It seems like, you know, I talk to older people I know that have been farming and have been through some changes, and they kind of say, well, there's changes going on and we're aware of it, but we don't know what new set of rules we're going to have to play by. You know, we're talking marketing, how to expand, how not to expand, you know, where to put your money, where to invest, where not to, those type of things. So it's kind of a new era, and for right now, you just kind of got to feel my way and see where it's going to take us. But as far as to go out and say, boy, I think this is going to happen and well, I'm going to do this, I can't say that right now. I think it's going to take a couple years to see how this agricultural thing's going to pan out, and then a guy can kind of say, well, I think I can head in this direction. So for right now, it's pretty much a wait and see game, and keep your bootstraps tied on.
Iowa contains over 366,000 acres of lakes and 20,000 miles of streams, and most of the water is fishable. Hi, I'm Rick Geisler, inviting you to watch Angling Iowa on Iowa Public Television. Each week, my guests and I will fish for one or more of the several species of game fish found in Iowa. Whether you're a beginner or an old pro, you'll enjoy Angling Iowa.
Angling Iowa returns to Iowa Public Television Friday evening, January 31st.
Hi, I'm Billy D. Williams. Don't miss our exciting new 4-part series, Brown Sugar. The story of America's black female entertainers from the early years of the 20th century to the present. Their lives, their careers, their struggles, their achievements. Josephine Baker, Ethel Waters, Billie Holiday, Lena Horne, Dorothy Dandridge, Aretha Franklin, The Supremes, Diana Ross, Donna Summer. These and many, many more, all on a new 4-part series, Brown Sugar. Join us.
Saturday evenings beginning February 1st. Saturday nights, the stars come out on Movie Classics. This Saturday, see Katharine Hepburn shine as the slightly eccentric Miss Moffat in The Corn is Green. It's a story of concern for poor miners' children, dedication to one particularly talented youth, and his triumph over personal setback. Enjoy Katharine Hepburn in The Corn is Green this Saturday at 9. It's another movie classic on Iowa Public Television.
You're viewing one of the stations of Iowa Public Television.
There's the team score as we come back to college wrestling, our 10th anniversary season. Iowa State 15 and Oklahoma State 3 after 150 pounds. We hope you enjoyed that. We hope you enjoyed that Mike Mann feature. And he's here in the crowd tonight, as you know. He was... There's Harold Nichols, too, with Ruth Nichols. During the intermission, Chuck and I, CP and I, went out and gave an Iowa Public Broadcasting certificate, an award to Harold Nichols for his encouragement of our college wrestling over the years.
Well, there's a lot of people that don't understand that wrestling can be televised. Can you believe that? I mean, in other parts of the country, people literally are unaware that we televise wrestling here in the Midwest and that people like it and they actually watch it.
Harold Nichols. Yes, he was talking about televising wrestling many, many years ago. And finally came to pass.
He had that dream. He had a vision of what could be done, and it's taken place, and people do enjoy it.
And there's what we have still ahead of us, Wisconsin and Lehigh. That'll be from Lehigh, courtesy of WLVT. That's next Tuesday at 9 o'clock. Iowa State against UNI. Week following, Iowa and Oklahoma State. That's another Saturday night match. UNI and Drake, and then the second match from Ames of Iowa State and Iowa. Here we go, 158 pounds now. Bill Tate of Iowa State, 16-3 this year against Angelo Kuzalina of Oklahoma State, 158 pounds.
Well, this is a shift. They've moved Kuzalina, their normal 50-pounder, up to 158. And I don't think he can handle Tate. Tate's had a good year. He's had a good start. He's a nice, talented athlete. I didn't get anything out of that. He was close in there. You can't afford to lose those in national competition at all. You get it that deep. It was almost a desperation attempt by Kuzalina to avoid getting taken down, and it worked.
Bill Tate, Waterloo Columbus High School, where he won a state championship. Most of the people at this level have won a state championship. Every once in a while you run across a real standout who never did win, but blooms late.
Well, there's still room for people that have ambition, even in wrestling, even in college at this level. But you're right, it doesn't happen too often.
Well, I think of people, Ben Peterson was one, I believe, who never,
let's go back to the middle, guys.
I don't believe won a state title.
And Eric Volker right now for Iowa State, who's missing the match now, but it's come on very strong without that kind of success.
You saw the Iowa State bench. There's no score here at 158. Makes a lot of difference, too. This is like starting the meet over again after a 10-minute intermission or so. The tempo is yet to be set.
Yes, and right now, Kuzalina is just attempting to hold on to the head, and Tate's trying to keep a hold of the arm just to avoid losing position right here. They're not doing very much, Doug. Started out with something they haven't done much lately.
Tate on the right. from Iowa State, whose team leads by 12. Summit
Touch
beat
and go.
Corey Bays at 118. Kelly pinned Eddie Woodburn at 126. He continually scored, countering off Woodburn's single legs, and finally stuck him off one. And then Joe Gibbons, well, Jeff Gibbons lost to Leo Bailey 4-1. That's the only win so far for the Cowboys. Joe Gibbons beat Luke Scove 7-2, and Tim Krieger on a last-minute penalty point edged Vince Silva 3-2 at 150. He didn't really mean that, did he? Well, Kuzalina suddenly remembered he had another appointment after he got about halfway under, and that's what's happened in this match so far.
Well, they just have been a little hesitant. Now he's in on that. Maybe tried to come across the top too soon. Tate's coming over with his body, maybe just a little bit too soon. He has to stay over there. That's where he wants to be, but he needs his arm through with it. He doesn't want to let Kuzalina get in behind him. He doesn't want to sit down here. That's dangerous on the knee.
Watch that knee right here. Watch the knee. Untangle.
And I'm sure
Watch the
Tate
knee.
didn't
Watch
want
the
to
knee
have
here.
to settle for that.
Okay.
He had the superior position immediately and then lost it.
Well, he's had a couple of times he's had position.
We're in the last half minute of the first period.
Well, these may be strategy matches for Oklahoma State, Doug. I'm not sure. Watching Silva and Kuzalina, so far they have kind of wrestled like they're trying to hold it close and maybe win it if they can. Well, that wasn't really a single leg. That was like, I'll reach out there and grab it, and maybe it's there, I'll get it. But I'm not going to commit to it.
End of the first period, no score.
You have your choice, Iowa State.
Choice goes to Tate.
You're going down. Oklahoma State, you'll be on top. We go into the second period, fellas.
Sums it up pretty well. Bill Tate
Bottom man, you get set.
had a good record last year, even
Top man,
though
you move on.
he didn't get to wrestle quite that much. He had Dave Ewing to contend with.
Well, now he tries to pull him right into that little crab ride. You can see Tate trying to pull his hips free.
Both up.
Nice. Good balance. And he comes right back in, trying to change the tempo of the match. You see Kuzalina just holding him here. If you really want to win, say you were behind by 2 or 3, you wouldn't be hanging in this position with your head up over the top
Let's go back, guys.
and not in emotion.
Open up in the middle, fellas.
Half a minute gone, second period.
He's trying to catch Tate out of position. He's trying to get him so that he gets a little bit anxious. That's the way it reads to me. He's got him 2 or 3 times. Tate's made the offense. Kuzalina's stopped him. Now, maybe he's trying to just catch him.
Maybe waiting for Tate's concentration to wander a little bit.
Well, he caught him there just leaning. That snap down almost caught Tate all the way off guard.
Open up,
For a
fellas. Open
takedown.
up.
A little too far.
Yep.
You get a little anxious. You know you're better, you feel you're better, and things aren't going the way you want it to go. Sometimes you get a little careless.
So Tate leads just by the escape,
Both of you
1
open
to
up. Let's
nothing.
get something going. You just hit it and you stop, both of you.
I agree with you, Bob. Bob Siddon's the referee.
Well, at least Tate's hit in. I haven't seen Kuzalina make the offense yet. That's the thing that you're looking at. See, that's really not an offense because that's lateral. And when a man is standing 5 feet away from you, you don't take him down by going 5 feet to your right or left.
Open up, fellas.
There's a good high crotch move, but again, he's having trouble stepping across.
Well, see, Kuzalina has good flexibility, and all he's trying to do now is just stop him from coming over there. It's dangerous to come over, because Kuzalina can try to heist him when he comes. So he just has made all the offense, hasn't been able to make the score.
And so it has to be a stalemate again. Let's look at the clock. Just a few seconds here. And Kuzalina's in the match. Trails only 1 to nothing. There has been no warning yet against either man.
Well, he's definitely in the match. And as I said, it's really, in my opinion, it's been Tate doing all the wrestling, Kuzalina doing most of the countering, but that might be the plan. I don't know what was said to the athletes before they made this shift up and
State down.
before they started to wrestle.
Now Kuzalina wants to go down. try to match up with an escape himself. That would make it 1-1, and then they'd go on their feet again.
Bottom man is set. Top man, you move on.
Tate can be tough on top.
He needs to be now for a little while. Now, he tried to do the same thing that Kusalina did to him. Pull him into what they call a crab ride. Now, he does have the arm. And in this position, he can get into the chicken wing. Can be very tough on top. He has the body to be able to handle this.
But Kusalina is getting his base and is able to come to his feet.
Well, you got to know what you want to do with it. If you get the chicken wing, you either are going to turn the guy over with it, you know, which means that you got to get out and really put a lot of pressure on him.
On the side.
Yes, you got to get out the side. Everybody remembers Dan Gable. He got a chicken wing on. There was hardly any way that you weren't going over, or he was going to pull your arm out of the socket.
Good move by Kusalina off the whistle.
Good reaction by Tate to counter that.
Oh, nice move by Tate coming back. So there have been no points exchanged.
No, but he has the bottom leg. If he'd pull his arm off of the back, he would have had him on his back.
Well, he
I don't think he knows where he is. He's going to lose everything.
And a reversal.
Lost his concentration for sure in the middle of that match.
He wants some time out, but it was not the time to call for it, maybe, huh?
No, you wrestle on through those spots and then worry about it getting it later.
2-1. Kusalina almost. Let's see what happened here.
So he comes right across him right here, and he's got him close to his back. But see how the arm is way up deep in the crotch. Now what he needs to do is pull his right arm up over top, but he stays back around the back, doesn't keep the pressure toward the head.
And Kusalina
starts coming right back through him again. It's almost like he starts right in here. He's looking at the referee like saying something's wrong. You know, see him talking to him like something happened to him, and Kusalina comes back across and gets a reversal.
Well, Kusalina wrestling, as you say, as if he were biding for time, got it.
Oh, he got a lead on that.
2-1 is the score. A reversal by Kusalina over Bill Tate at 158 pounds. That's the Oklahoma State heavyweight. He's ranked first in the country. Tom Erickson. We saw him in the Midwest tournament. Perhaps you remember that. We didn't see much of him because he was wrestling Gary Albright. There's the results of the Midwest, by the way, which Iowa State won. Northern Iowa finished third. But Albright defaulted very early because of a knee twist, and Erickson won. We'll see him wrestle John Heropoulos later.
Well, he's ready, but he's behind, so see if Kusalina tries to dump him in his lap again in that crab ride, or if he changes to another strategy.
Well, as we say, this really starts the second match here, the second meet, because after 158, one team can take the tempo over from another after that intermission. And Tate hasn't yet brought the crowd out.
Well, he has to attempt to take his opponent to the mat. Can't keep him up there.
Let's go back.
56 seconds to go. Kusalina leads by 1.
Don't hang on top.
You can hear the referee saying, don't hang on top. It's hard to stay with him when Tate keeps his hips free and moves like that. Nice escape.
So we're back on the feet. There have been no takedowns yet.
Well, Tate has made he's made the offensive shots. Hasn't been able to finish them, but he's been there.
And as you say, maybe he has to get a good shot, not be too impatient about it. Get caught out of position like that.
When I blow the whistle, I want both of you moving right in.
Coach C's concerned. Now there's one of the first efforts his man's made into his opponent. He's going to have to make a better one than that with no time left. Well, he didn't have the position.
Tate has the takedown.
Going to win it right there.
And he did.
Well, Tate had the single. That time Kusalina didn't let him come in quite far enough. Tried to step past him too soon. Tate dropped his hips and scored the takedown to win.
So for the second match in a row, the Cyclones pick one up at the final buzzer and take an 18-3 lead after 158 pounds. Now we're coming to 167. And we look to see if Mark Van Tine is going to wrestle for Oklahoma State, and he is not. He's been injured, and I think now with the score 18-3, Joe C. figures that discretion would be the better tactic. He's going to let Brian Boone wrestle against Mike Van Arsdale. So Van Arsdale definitely should be favored here. He's ranked 6th in the country. Brian Boone already has to fight off a single leg takedown.
Well, he's in on it, and it's a matter now of being patient with it. You know, the objective right now for the man with the leg is to find the foot, get further away, or find the hip and get in real close. So now that he has the foot, it's a matter now of patience, keeping him on the mat, and affecting one of several different kinds of offenses that he can use. See him taking him back to the middle. Now it's a matter of just being patient. Now he's going to try to catch the head and sweep him one way or the other.
Oh, and he lost it.
A lot of work to score nothing right there, wasn't it?
Yeah. Here comes Boone.
He feels the same way, believe me.
Now that, I'll tell you, Bob Sitton's going to stop this right now.
Now, you're not going to be out here slapping around. It's a touch and go and then hit. You got that, both of you? You got it? Okay.
Bob's been around long enough to know when things are getting out of hand.
Yeah, he could sense that one right away.
Van Arsdale against Boone.
Open up, gentlemen.
No score.
Well, I think it was not out of hostility as much as it was out of enthusiasm. You know, they both wanted to get back at it. I don't see that they're real mad yet.
No. Boone started his college career at the University of Kentucky, and they were another of the programs that
Open up,
folded.
both of you. Get something going.
So he moved on to Oklahoma State.
There's been too many college programs drop wrestling in the last 10 years, Doug. Somewhere around 70 programs have been dropped, and it's just hard on the sport.
Good morning, both of these people, both of them. Get something going.
Warnings against both men. Next time it's a penalty. Neither man wants to change his approach. He wants to do what he came to do and hope that the other man gives up quicker. There's a nice high crotch move by Van Arsdale, but he still has to finish it.
He was there early. You know, the key now is to keep the knee in close to the chest. There he's got the leg. Now he's got to find the other foot, or he's got to get back up with it. Still no takedown. He doesn't want to find the waist like that because that's too much power in there. That's where the hips are.
He gave up on it.
And see, again, all the coaches around the country look at every dual meet as just a training program to get to the national tournament. There's the Van Tine that is hurt.
He probably, there was a possibility he could have gone at 67, but with the team behind 18-3, and he not up to par because of an injury, Joe C. didn't want to take the chance.
He might be able to learn something by watching. Van Arsdale's had two nice low moves into the leg and just hasn't been able to finish them. That's what he needs that going into the tournaments. If you get there, you might only get there once on a real great athlete, so you got to be able to score with it.
He wanted to step through. Oh boy.
He's dangerous when he goes.
He wanted to headlock him.
You have your choice, young man.
Hi.
You're going to defer, so it'll come over to
Hi,
you.
ladies.
Iowa State will go down.
10th
Oklahoma
anniversary
State on
season of
top.
college wrestling.
Okay.
You're looking at Jim Gibbons now. He's the one who's wearing the flower. Van Arsdale, we said he tends to get
Top man, you move on.
prepared for tournaments, and there's an example. He finished 6th in the Nationals last year.
Well, he's done that in even when he was in high school. He's a big tournament wrestler. Get ready for that state tournament to really get going. National junior tournament. Do well when the time was right. And he's gearing up for this one again. He's got a lot of length, a lot stronger than he looks. He's very dangerous on the bottom. He's got such good hip action. He'll get up and start to throw those switches. If you're trying to hang on, he's going to reverse you.
Well, Boone wanted to start on top, that's an unusual decision, I think.
Stay on the mat, both of you.
He's trying to take something out of him. This is where Van Arsdale's good, right here. You try to put him down, and he'll move his hips just like that in that switch action.
And he's out. 1-0. First point of the match.
Well, it looks easy. The thing is, if Boone would have tried to hang on to him, Van Arsdale would have reversed him and maybe put him on his back because he's got that great leverage and great hips on that switch.
Well, we've had 2 close matches in a row without a tremendous amount of activity.
That's a nice way to say it. They're wrestling like they're calculating. You know, it's the matches are strategy matches rather than just get after it kind of matches, and that's what I'm sure the coaches would like and fans would like. Hear the referee say, "Get something going." We would sure like it.
Boone tried an underarm spin, then went through with a double leg, but he really didn't really get any part of Van Arsdale. But he has made the last few offensive moves. We have what left here? Less than a minute in the second period. 1-0 Van Arsdale.
Well, both athletes have enough offense in their arsenal. It's a matter of being able to put the man in position to use it. It's hard to go from right here, standing face to face, both arms on a man. It's hard to be able to affect an offense from that.
Again, Boone made the move. Van Arsdale's going to have to change the tempo here. They've both been warned, and you don't want to get caught stalling. Bob Siddons tends to call stalling maybe less often than a lot of referees.
For when he does, it's usually justified.
Oh, yeah.
So they can't get through each other's arms. You know, they're tied up in the upper body, high-level attack, and then they want to make a low-level offense, but their arms are all twisted up upstairs.
1-0. There's John Heropoulos. He'll be going against Erickson at heavyweight.
You ever thought what it would be like to wait around for 9 other guys in a halftime?
Okay, all right.
Whatever happened to the idea that the rules committee, you may have been on the rules committee at the time, huh? Said, let's shake them around, start the heavyweights first once in a while.
Well, we decided if the coaches would agree, you could scramble the weights. Just pull them out of a hat and wrestle them in any order.
Did you ever hear of it happening?
Oh, we did it a couple of times in Northern Iowa when I was coaching there when we were down in the Southeast Conference. We did it with Florida but not very often. Most teams wouldn't do it. Too conventional.
You know, I always thought you could seed them somehow. Which ones do we think are the best matches? And then you just seed them from bottom to top.
Well, he has the leg and he has the arm through. So with the leg in like he has it, you know, the man on the bottom can't get his knee down, so he won't be able to get back to his base. So it's a matter now if he can torque him or get the cradle on him.
Van Arsdale's throwing away all the tape he has on his hands. Actually, Oklahoma State, as you say, it looks like they're wrestling to stay close and then win it late, but it's hard to win late on the road, I should think.
Oh yeah, you get yourself all tied up. It's almost like a group of athletes that are shell-shocked, Doug. They have the talent. They're just a little bit in doubt of themselves right now.
Top man, you move on.
Van Arsdale against Brian Boone of Oklahoma State. The Cyclones lead 18-3.
They caught him a little bit high. Boone's just trying to shake him off the top. A dangerous spot right in there when you somersault with a legger. You can somersault right to your back. See, no legger wants to have his hips on the mat. Doesn't want to be down with his hips below yours. He wants to be up on top with his belly button toward the mat. So Van Arsdale's not comfortable right here. He wants to get out of there and get up. Now he's where he wants to be, up on top. But he's lost the leg. He could lose a reversal right here.
Now especially.
Well, if he can cave him in, if Boone can cave in that outside leg.
Let's go again. Relax. Let's go again.
We have 30 seconds to go in the match, and it's still 1-2. Riding time now belongs to Van Arsdale.
Here we go.
So if Boone escapes, Van Arsdale still wins. He gets the riding time point.
Bottom man, you get set. Top man, you move on.
So Boone will have to go quick and hard.
It's not really exploding on the whistle. You just don't see much of that anymore. Too many people just kind of cut somebody loose, so they haven't learned to be effective on the bottom.
And Van Arsdale is continuing to ride all the way out. And he will win here at this point because even if Boone gets out, Van Arsdale will have the riding time point. There it is. With riding time, 2-0, Van Arsdale over Boone.
It's a win, but not really the one they wanted. You know, not the way they wanted it.
Well, Boone did a good job stepping in for Van Tine because Van Arsdale never really took him down. He got an escape and then the riding time point in the last period. Well, 21-3 now is the score. The Cyclones over the Cowboys. And we go to 177. There's Bob Gassman. He might wrestle the open-up match you're talking about.
Well, he's wrestling a man named Wilson that will like to open it up because he can throw.
Reggie Wilson of Oklahoma State, senior from Chicago Heights, Illinois, and Bob Gassman, a junior from Downers Grove, Illinois, both Chicago suburban wrestlers. Reggie Wilson was at Triton Junior College and twice was voted the outstanding wrestler in the National Junior College Tournament.
I don't know if that happens very often.
Never had happened before.
Well, he has the talent, and the contrast you'll see between the two athletes is Wilson more or less on an upper body and Gassman on a low-level attack. So you can anticipate that clash. And Wilson would like to get Gassman into sort of a tie-up position where he can try to pitch him, headlock him, toss him. Gassman would like to have that low-level attack.
Wilson on the left. He's the rangier of the two. Gassman's ranked 3rd in the country.
I think Gassman has made a lot of improvement.
We're just holding on like that until it comes a stalemate. Let's open up, both of you. Don't just hold in, both of you.
That's Van Arsdale.
You can hear the official there saying you're just holding in. What I was going to say is as I've watched Gassman, he's really developed a better attack and not wasting so much energy. Done a better job of controlling matches, controlling situations.
Slick high crotch move, but he couldn't finish it. Wilson managed to shake him off.
We've seen a lot of that tonight. Unable to finish what you really want to do. Now there's where Wilson wants to be, is in here. Wants to get underneath, get those hips.
He's rangy. He's tough in that spot, and Gassman decided he better bail out.
Off the mat, both up.
They're out of bounds. No score. We have about half the first period gone.
There you are. This yours, young man? This yours? Okay.
I think Bob Siddons just found the tape that Van Arsdale left out there in the last match.
All right, young man.
Bob Siddons coached for many years at West Waterloo High School.
Yes, I walked in his basement one time and saw 21 plaques on the wall for 25 years coaching. I was awestruck.
Yeah, because you didn't realize anybody as many as you had, right?
No. It's just a lot of people would like to have one. You know, he just has a basement full of them.
Yeah, I mentioned that CP is a little modest here. I don't think Bob Siddons ever won 2 team national titles.
Oh, yeah, he won 11 state. He's in his element.
Let's get something going.
There's a warning
against
both men. A little slow here through the middle of these weights. Now Gassman goes to the outside for a single. See if he can finish.
He's been here before.
Lost it again.
And lost it again. So it is really a critical area. I'm sure the coaches from Iowa State are going to be spending some time with some of these athletes, finishing what they start. You know, the reality of that, Doug, is so apparent when you get into national tournaments. And you've heard me say that before. If you can get there once on a real great athlete, you better make sure you finish it, because you don't get there very often.
Right.
And once might be all he's ever going to get out of position on, because he's so sound.
Reggie Wilson. Actually, he's one of 2 77-pounders for the Cowboys.
Right, their other man, Carney, is ranked 7th in the nation, and just has been injured, so he's on the trip. And I believe that he has an infection, so they're not wrestling him.
Well, he got all the way in that time. See if he can finish. He's been there twice before without any success, and he lost it again. This time Wilson almost came in with a body lock.
It was a nice time to come. Gassman had it. Wilson fought him off, came right back on the offense. Now Gassman fought him off.
End of the first period. How is Wilson shrugging him out of there?
Well, what they do is they drop their hips. They just sag their hips, and then they come right back at their opponent using their hips back in.
That's Steve Metzger,
We'll come over to you, young man.
who's going to be up next at 190 pounds. He's filling in for
Oklahoma State
Volker,
down, Iowa State on top.
who's
Here
injured
we go,
for
second
Iowa
period.
State.
Let's move right into it. Right into it. Bottom man gets set.
Gassman had his choice.
Bottom man set. Top man, you move on.
No score. Each man has been warned.
1 point.
Wilson's
Both
out in a
up.
flash.
Yes, that was quick and earned.
So let's get in there and go. Right in the middle.
I asked that question about how's he do that. It's almost like you could get into, if you could take the kinesiology of this and break it down for fans and let them watch, it would really be wonderful. But the critical factor for the athlete is that he be able to control his hips and then his opponent's hips. In order to be able to do that, he's got to get down below and then in and to his opponent. See, Gassman got in, but didn't have the hips under control and really backed out before he had a chance because the hips were down.
Wilson leads 1-0, but he has not been able to make any successful offensive moves. Again, it's a rare situation. I'm not used to seeing Oklahoma State teams that are having so much trouble taking people down.
No, plus they're waiting around. I mean, they're not generating the offense. They're not trying to get their opponent in motion nor out of position so that they can affect an offense.
On the other hand, neither team has had many takedowns. I'm going to count them up here because it seems to me so few.
I'm going to warn
Blaze,
you again. Points.
a point each way now. Now, again, Gassman's in on the leg.
No, he has to be able to affect some kind of motion there.
And
Stay
again,
with
it's
it.
out.
It's not a good sign.
Yes, Oklahoma State has had 3 takedowns in the entire meet. Bays had one, Bailey had one against Jeff Gibbons, and Silva had one against Krieger, and that's it. For Iowa State, Summit had a pair, Kelly had 3 of them, Tate had one,
Make some moves, both of
Joe
you.
Gibbons had a couple of them, and that's all.
It has not been a very exciting meet from that standpoint. I think Iowa State is showing, there's a nice good lift there. Got into the leg and lifted it.
Wilson gets one for Oklahoma State at 177 and takes the lead 3-1 over Gassman right at the end of the second period.
Third, so you're going to go down. Okay, you're going to go down.
4-1,
Oklahoma
4-1.
State, you're on top. Win the
Watch him, he
last
just
30.
lifts, blocks the leg,
Both
controls
of
the
them
hips,
twice, so let's
pulls
get
him back.
Good 2-minute action going.
That penalty made it.
Bottom man, get set.
That penalty, as we come back to live action again, went against both men. So Wilson led 2-1 after the penalty,
Is it 4-1?
and now it's 4-1 after the
4-1,
first
yeah,
takedown
4-1.
in. Well, let's see, since 158
See,
pounds.
each one had got a point for stalling. Oh, I missed that. Yeah, both of you got a point for stalling. Okay.
All right,
Bottom man
Gassman
gets
starts
set.
down, and he has some work to do.
Top man, you move on. Move into it. Right away. Let's go.
Quick up. There was an explosion, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
And an earned escape. Yeah, just keep that tempo right there, be in great shape. Got the leg.
Wilson has been able to stretch him out every time.
Well, that isn't just hips either. That's some of that is Gassman. You know, he's got the leg. He doesn't want it bad enough to keep it and fight through it because it's brutal in there. You know, you get beat around a lot, and the only way you learn to do it is get in practice and just find it out.
But when you're in there 4 or 5 times, as he's been, and come out with nothing, you begin to wonder, now what am I going to do?
Well, what he's going to do is go back to practice probably and get Ed Bannick as assistant coach and have that leg about 400 times between now and the Nationals and find out how to finish it. Because there are ways, but you have to really want it.
4-2 is the score. Wilson over Gassman. Oklahoma State hasn't won a match since 134 pounds.
Let's go back. You okay?
Headbutt there. I think
Take it easy over here.
Gassman got headbutt in
Stopped a little bit.
the lip. Bob Gassman of Downers Grove, Illinois. He was a high school champion, and last year finished second in the Big 8 at 167. The next match will be at 190. Mike Farrell of Oklahoma State, a freshman from Minnesota, against Steve Metzger. And next time out, next Tuesday night, you see the Badgers against the Engineers from Lehigh, courtesy of WLVT.
Okay, here we go, guys.
CP and I'll take a night off.
We got 1 minute left.
You can watch
1 minute
Russ
left,
Hellickson's
let's get
Badger
one
team
action
against
right in the middle and both of them.
Lehigh in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Here it's 4-2, Wilson over Gassman. Cowboys trying to win one.
Now the hands on the head really kind of keep the man off. He's in there deep on that leg, just got extended.
That time he tried to turn it into a double as quickly as possible, which is the first time he's done that. But he was on the edge of the mat. It was too close to the edge. Wilson gets the move.
You got to finish it. See how in there deep? That's dangerous, stepping outside. Gassman almost threw him off of it. Now that's better, the inside trip.
Less than a half a minute to go.
Wouldn't it be nice if we saw this kind of wrestling the whole match? What inspired these guys anyway? Time?
And Wilson came through with a tough takedown at 6'2".
Let's go back to the middle. I saw it. I saw it. Let's go.
Watch him come in on the leg. Here, he's in on the leg. And he hasn't, it just steps over. Now, when he steps over top, he's going to start to scrape that toward him. He's going to pull that on in. And that's what the coach was saying. You got to be on the right side. See that? Takes the knee outside. That's what drives the guy down. It's dangerous and illegal.
Only a few seconds left, and Wilson seems to be in command here. When Iowa State needed to be well ahead, I think, coming into these last matches, because it's going to be a tough match from here on out. We have Mike Farrell coming up next. There's the end of that one, 177. Gassman loses to Reggie Wilson. No riding time to add an extra point, but it is 6-2 in favor of the Cowboy. And so, after 177 pounds, it's Iowa State 21, Cowboys 6. We've had no major decisions, no superior decisions. We did have one fall. That was at 126 pounds when Kelly caught Eddie Woodburn and pinned him and gave the Cyclones a 9-0 lead. Here we are, 190. This is Steve Metzger filling in for Eric Volker, wrestling for Iowa State against Mike Farrell, a freshman who last year, I don't think he's a redshirt either. Last year he was the...
move around, stay
Is he a redshirt?
No.
He was the state champion last year in Minnesota, high school.
Well, he might be a little bigger. He has a little more muscled, and I think he's more a legitimate 190-pounder than Metzger, who's
can make 77.
Can make 77.
And in fact, wrestles behind Gassman.
Off the mat, let's go back. Both sides.
Well, he's been around in a program with quality athletes for quite a while, and I think that even though he's a stand-in, I think that Steve Metzger can hold his own with most athletes that don't have a lot of experience as his opponent does tonight.
Let's go back. You need neither one of you.
Heavyweights coming up next, Haropoulos and Erickson. Erickson ranked first in the country. Haropoulos has lost only this year to Erickson. That's all only losses he has are to this big Cowboy heavyweight. And they're extremely athletic as heavyweights go. Here we are at 190. Mike Farrell in the orange on the left, the Cowboys against Steve Metzger of the Cyclones.
Well, if he's going to be effective for Coach C, Farrell's going to have to develop some of that head control. Instead of getting on the head like he is right now and hanging onto it, Coach C's style is to maneuver the head. Snap it, cuff it, pop it. There's the man Metzger's taking his place of, Eric Volker.
Just took the cast off an ankle where he has a stress fracture.
Move in.
They're figuring he'll be back before too long. Farrell got it on a double leg, but Metzger is still with it.
Oh, yeah, nice control of that. Now he's winding himself around. He's got both of the legs trapped. So it's a matter now of whether Metzger hangs on to it or not.
He didn't. Metzger had to give it up. So Farrell leads 2-0.
He's not going to try to hang on to him.
2-1. Metzger scores the escape.
As you watch the match, you can see Farrell from Oklahoma State has reached out and tied up to the head with his right hand almost each time they've been in the tie-up position. Now he's just got him trapped underneath, and we'll try to eat up some time, energy. That's an area where Metzger might be able to get after him. You can see him. He'll reach out and tie up with his right hand, hold the head in tight.
40 seconds to go in the first period. It's Cyclones 21, Oklahoma State 6 with 2 matches, this one and 1 more to go. Farrell has the leg.
Well, he really didn't penetrate hard for that. He just kind of dropped down and took it away from him.
4-1.
And he has it crossed. He has it scissored. That's the old Oklahoma ride, Navy ride, lace ride. That's been very effective for a lot of people in the past. Just didn't exercise it.
Both of you. Either one of you doing anything? Either one of you.
End of the period with Farrell of Oklahoma State leading Metzger 4-1. You see Les Anderson there in the middle?
They're not real pleased right now.
Les Anderson, a 2-time national champion. The only year he lost was to Stan Abel.
Yes, everybody thought that was a real heated rivalry for years after. It was early. See, all he really did right there was just drop down into the leg. Now he's got, they call that the lace right of the Navy right. What he needs to do is be able to lift it and go toward the man's head. Metzger wisely moved out away from it.
Farrell had the choice. And Metzger is out. He's been able to escape twice, but Farrell has both takedowns. They count more. Bob Siddons takes them back to the center again.
Okay.
I would think he'd be quite comfortable under the new suggestions, I guess, rather than rules, that the referee can talk to the wrestlers more.
Yes, Bob likes to be able to exercise that right. It was hard on him when he couldn't say anything by the rules, and this suits his personality and philosophy more.
Let's go back in the middle, fellas. You guys aren't going to get anything out there. You're going to get anything out there. You're going to get it right here in the middle.
And hear him telling the athletes, this is what the rules permit him to tell them. That's really the way it is.
Yeah.
Wrestle in the middle.
4-2 Farrell of Oklahoma State on the right against Metzger in Hilton Coliseum on our 10th anniversary college wrestling series.
Go back, both of you.
Coach from Oklahoma State has said to his athletes several times now, we can overhear him saying, stay on him. Don't let up on him. Concentrate. He got ahead. Now it's like he's trying to sit on it now. Needs to go back to his offense, and of course Metzger definitely needs to generate one. When you stop that guy right there, you want to make sure you take him down off it.
Less than a minute to go, second period. 4-2 Farrell in the orange. Metzger had the leg, but out of bounds right to the center.
There's Erickson, the heavyweight, coming up for Oklahoma State.
Practicing with his mean looks there. Now Metzger would like to come around. Tried it one way, went the other way. Neither way worked.
They have to move that man, not just yourself. You really have to be able to move that man to be able to create an angle. He got part of the angle, started one way, and just didn't finish it, coming back hard enough. Some of those, if you don't do it often enough, you don't have enough success at it. You're not sure that it will work, so you don't do it with enthusiasm.
We're near the end of the second period. Steve Metzger, he's one of 3 Ames High School hometown wrestlers here in the lineup for Iowa State tonight, along with the Gibbons brothers.
Coach wants him to snap him right there. Coach Bank wants him to snap him down. And you see him trying it. He gets him man leaning on him.
Second period ends, still 4-2. Farrell leads over Metzger.
Here's the score right over here.
Time advantage, 35 seconds for Farrell. Farrell has his...
down, Oklahoma State down, Iowa State on top.
Farrell chooses to go down. Farrell gave up his choice in the second period. He gave it to Metzger, who went
bottom man, you work to come out. Top man, improve your position. Get set, bottom man. Top man, move on.
When we talked to Coach Gibbons before the meet, Doug, I see some of what he was said to us, and it probably isn't obvious to the other people, but they've been working very hard this week. Two-a-days. In fact, they had 2-a-days yesterday.
Better do something.
So the day before the big Oklahoma State meet, they're not even talking about Oklahoma State. They're just talking about getting in shape for the Nationals. And they have wrestled a little tired. Not like they are in bad shape, just like they're tired. You know, like I need a break. And this is only a one-match day, so it gives them a little bit of chance to kind of recover.
Metzger tried to tip Farrell for near fall points, came very close, but couldn't quite get the angle.
He still has the arm trap, but Farrell has his hip drop the other way.
Now he has him loaded up again. Well, let's see. What is he going to be able to do?
He lost the arm now, so he's not going to be able to be effective with it.
About a minute to go. There's a warning against Farrell.
Well, now he's cleared his hips out of there, but he has his arm tied up yet. Not always that easy when the man wants to hang on to you, is it?
Well, Farrell has a 2-point lead. And I think they want to keep Metzger in this position on top and hope for back points.
All right, he has 45 seconds to try to affect one of those near falls. And the coach over there, C, is saying, get up out of there. Don't stay down there.
The Cowboy Farrell really hasn't been dangerous in any position since the first period.
Tried to get himself freed up right there, but Metzger does have an arm. Now, if he can come back in position here and maybe dump him over, he has to transfer sides.
Farrell reaches pretty good base.
He's not really guilty of stalling. He's making his attempts to get up. It's that Metzger's just been tough on him and knocking him down.
Only 20 seconds to go.
Almost helping him out here.
There's the escape right at the end. Farrell holds on and wins 5-2. No riding time. Actually, the riding time point went to Metzger.
Shake hands. Shake hands.
So the Cowboys win their first one since the last match. They've now won 2 in a row, 21-9. 5-3, Farrell over Metzger. We come up to heavyweight, where we have the top-ranked man, Tom Erickson of the Cowboys, against John Heropoulos, that man right there, who's lost 3 times this year, every time to Erickson.
You big guys, let's do your wrestling right here in the middle. Shake hands. Touch and go.
And here we go.
Touch and go.
They don't wrestle like heavyweights.
No, they'll be down in a low-level attack. You see, there's Heropoulos in already.
He is lighter. He weighs 217, something like that. And I think Erickson is over 250.
You know, Erickson was a 185-pounder in high school. And so he's really put on some size. But they both like that low level.
Front headlock position or at least a...
To really make that front headlock effective, a man has to get his head off to the side. And when you see a man's head up in the top of the back, he's kind of holding him for position and trying to stalemate it rather than trying to work an offensive position.
You don't see too many heavyweights taking double leg shots from that far out.
No, you don't. And
that was a little too far out.
Yeah, like from the other county.
Good move by Erickson.
Just caught him down underneath him.
Erickson takes the lead 2-0.
Well, he really is, he's in control, but he doesn't have all of his weight on Heropoulos, and so it's given Heropoulos a chance to get his hips free and out to the outside.
Well, I think you can see why it was important for Iowa State to do well at the lower weights, because the Cowboys expected to win up here.
Well, you can imagine if they'd have had Van Tynen there against Ben Arsdale, might have been a win, a chance maybe to win the match.
Well, let me get something going.
Now, Erickson on top really has not done anything except just blanket his opponent.
Out to the side if you're going to try to
So
pin him.
it's the kind of spot where You can anticipate the official, Bob Siddons, to get on him after a while for not trying to be effective with pinning combinations. That's a tough ride for a heavyweight, that inside ankle. Very, very little opportunity to get away from that.
Gets it out of bounds anyway. 38 seconds to go in the first period.
Well, whether it's a heavyweight or a 118-pounder, it's still that bottom spot is a difficult place for an athlete.
Bottom man is set.
Eddie Bannock
Top man, you move
spent a
on.
lot of time with Heropoulos this year, and it showed. 22-3 for Heropoulos. This has been his toughest competition this year. Erickson, who now leads 2-0.
Well, he put the leg in. You don't see a lot of heavyweights legging either. Now he pulls it out of there. And finally building up.
Take him down. Take him down.
Burning a lot of energy right here, Doug.
Yeah. Erickson's been very tough on top. Heropoulos not, I sense he's not quite sure what he wants to do on the bottom there.
You have your choice, young man.
So,
You're going to go.
oh, here he is, and he just
Neutral
catches him
on
down
your
under
feet.
him. Now he
Okay.
snaps him, pops himself free. He has the arm trap, and then spins around, drops his hip, comes on around in behind him for the 2-point takedown.
And that was the only takedown. Now in the second period, Heropoulos was on top. He started on his feet. He has that choice if he wants it.
He wants to be careful going in underneath this big guy. He's got to be able to have an arm and swing to the side.
Stay right in there, guys. Stay right in there.
There he is. Now he's to the side. That's that side attack. He needs to finish it. Keep the angle. Can't afford to attack him straight on. Now he's got the angle.